You could count the number of people who've become a legend in their own lifetime just about on the fingers of one hand in any endeavour. And the marine industry, in this country at least, certainly hasn't really developed a whole lot of people who, during their life, have become legends. An exception to that is John Haines. Now, Australian boating legend John Haines is not my words. They're the words of a couple of boating journalists. And it's generally accepted that John, through his efforts in hull design, in manufacturing, particularly in the development of mass production, high quality manufacturing techniques as they apply specifically to fiberglass trailer boats, has certainly become a legend in his own lifetime, not to mention his efforts and extreme successes in both circuit racing and offshore powerboat racing. John not only wins the races, he also designs the boat and then he drives it. So he certainly has had some experience there. Now, about 5 years ago, John set up Signature Boats in Brisbane. He had a main factory with a couple of satellite factories. Around about a year ago, John moved back into the factory which he had originally established around about 20 years ago for the production of his range of boats. Now, Signature has established itself very well in the factory at Wacol. The factory, interestingly enough, whilst it's been occupied by one or two other people in the meantime, was designed by John Haines right from scratch as a fiberglass boat building facility. Now, so that means that it's certainly relevant to the boats that John builds and the way in which they're put together. The line runs logically from one end of the factory to the other. In the far end of the factory, the boats are actually laminated and laid up, as are all the accessories such as seats, consoles, all the other small componentry that goes into making up the boats are manufactured, are laid up around the main hull and deck manufacturing area. They're all fed in to a long parallel production line. There's 4 or 5 rows there of boats of various sizes. They then go to the door area where they're finished and detailed, ready for dispatch. Now the factory turns out around about 80 finished boats a month, which I suspect for fiberglass boats is something of a record in this country. It's necessary for Signature to do that because they have a demand for more than 80 boats a month from around Australia. So the factory certainly set up to feed the boats to the public as and when they are required, with a relatively short waiting list. Now, today we're going to have a look at 2 models of Signatures, ones that we haven't seen before. One of them is a brand spanking new model. In fact, this is the very first prototype, still undergoing its water tests and trials. And the other one is a variation of an established Signature design, and it's a bow rider. The brand new 1900S is the latest in a relatively limited edition line of S-type boats from John Haines of Signature. Now, there's the S stands for either ski or, in the case of the 1900, for sports. Now, it breaks new ground in quite a few areas for John Haines. Firstly, it has the very latest version of his special patented underwater hull line system, which has what amounts to a concave V averaging out at 28.5 degrees of V, but designed in such a way that the boat still retains excellent stability laterally at rest. So you get the great advantage and soft ride of a very deep V, but you also get the stability of rest, which is equally important. The boat has excellent styling. In fact, this is probably the sleekest boat built in this country at the moment, and I suspect that as far as its styling is concerned, it would certainly match it, if not be better than, most of the American boats that we see imported. And obviously, any boat from a local manufacturer in 1989 is going to have to stand up against the American imports. And my feeling is that if any range of boats has a chance of meeting them on their own ground, or meeting them on our ground, if you like, and exceeding the appeal that they obviously possess, it's going to be John Haines's range. Now, the boat is 19 feet overall, plus 2 feet for the swim platform. Again, John's one of the few manufacturers who is honest about the length of his boats. Doesn't include the bowsprit or the bow rail or the anchor or whatever in his assessment of the length. And by the way, I've quoted that in Imperial. That's the way John Haines has always done it. But he tells me that sometime in the next couple of months there'll be a change, and all of the Signature boats will go metric, so we'll be able to compare them even more directly. The beam is 6 feet 8. It has a horsepower rating of 200. Now the test boat, and as I mentioned, this is the very first prototype which is undergoing advanced sea trials. It's powered with 175 horsepower, which gives it a radar-checked top speed of 63 miles an hour. Now that's with the motor down on the transom, set up exactly as you would take it from the showroom, without any sort of high-performance speed tuning. The boat's capable of a comfortable and easy 63 miles per hour. Now, as I said, it's ideal as a ski boat. In fact, it's undergone extensive trials at SeaWorld, who will very shortly be featuring these boats exclusively in their ski show. And the skiers at SeaWorld have been raving about the wash. It has an excellent profile wash at all speeds for high-performance type skiing. The steering is fitted as hydraulic as standard, and that's most important in a boat of this size and performance capability and horsepower, so you have hydraulic steering. Driving a Signature is like getting out of a standard road car and into a thoroughbred sports car. The entire feel of the boat is different in every aspect of its performance, particularly in its turning. You don't just haul the thing around into a corner, you feed in a moderate amount of steering, and then you control the boat through the turn by use of the throttle. Now it goes around without cavitation, without any signs of bucking or tossing, and it does it at a remarkably high rate. It's not disturbed by wash or by waves from whatever the angle may be, and these boats really do have the manners of a thoroughbred in a turn. The 1750 BR has similar qualities, but in a different area. Now, BR obviously stands for bow rider. The overall length is 19 feet 6. It has a beam of 7 feet 6 and a moderate 22.5 degree of V, which puts it into squarely into the family boating class. This is a boat that you can put 6 or 8 or even 10 people aboard in enclosed waters, spend a very comfortable and happy day. Again, a horsepower rating of 200 with a minimum of 135, but with 175 horsepower, which John tells me is ideal for the boat, it will do, again, a radar check 54 miles an hour, so a moderate load on that, even 6 people, certainly wouldn't have any real impact on the overall speed, so it's capable of covering quite a lot of ground. Bow riders have never been regarded as offshore boats in this country, but John Haines has looked very carefully at this and decided that the ability to go offshore fair weather fishing is essential in a boat of this size and type. Obviously the boat's a family boat, it has to be capable of fulfilling the requirements of each member of the family. Now he believes in its standard form it has enough hull performance and enough resistance to slopping its bow through a wave to prevent any chance of slopping waves into the boat. But as well, he's designed and can provide as an optional extra a hard lid or a hard fiberglass tonneau cover for the open foredeck area of the boat. Obviously a soft tonneau cover is easily available and relatively easy to fix, but if you do intend to regularly go offshore fishing, you can fit the hard tonneau lid. 2 brand new offerings from Signature, ones which certainly expand their existing large range of boats from 1550 up to about 24 feet 6, the 1900S and the 1750 BR. We'll be back right after this break.